Have you ever felt like you're playing a part? Like the life you're living, and truly yours? It often starts quietly. A silence settles in, and then the unraveling begins. It doesn't arrive with a big dramatic scene. It's more like tiny cracks forming in a mask you've worn for years. You start to notice it in the small things. Old conversations just don't hold your interest anymore. You find yourself hesitating before saying yes to things that once felt completely natural. You look in the mirror, and your reflection feels unfamiliar. Not because your face has changed, but because something deep within your eyes has finally woken up. This is the stage where the false layers start to crumble away. The roles you've perfected, the high achiever, the people pleaser, the strong one who never complains, the quiet one who never makes a fuss, they all start to slip. It's not that you're actively rejecting them, it's that they just don't fit anymore. For so long, you built your identity on survival. You learned to adapt, to become what others needed you to be, to mirror their expectations just to feel like you belonged. And for a while, it worked, but a soul can only pretend for so long. The famous psychologist Carl Jung called these roles the persona, the social mask we all wear to face the world. He said the persona is there to protect us, but if we cling to it too tightly, it becomes a prison, and then one day, that prison starts to crack. The laughter feels forced. The achievements that once felt so important now feel hollow. The relationships that were built on this pretense begin to fall apart, and it hurts. It hurts deeply, because as these old identities crumble, you feel like you're losing parts of yourself you thought were real. You start questioning everything. Who am I without this successful version of me? Who am I without the approval I used to chase? Who am I without the people who only ever knew the mask? But listen closely. This destruction is sacred. The collapse that you fear is the very same energy that's clearing the path for your truth. It is completely normal to feel lost right now, to grieve the person you used to be, to miss the certainty and the comfort of those old, familiar patterns. But deep down, somewhere inside, you know this is necessary. You know that pretending is so much heavier than being honest. And you are finally tired of carrying that weight. When the mask falls, you meet yourself for the first time, raw, unsure, and beautifully human. You see your fears without any filters, your wounds without any makeup, your dreams stripped of any need to perform. It's terrifying at first, I won't lie. But slowly, gently, something soft begins to appear from beneath the rubble. It's a quiet self, a self that doesn't need to impress anyone, doesn't need to explain itself, and doesn't need to be understood by everyone. This, my friend, is authenticity, and it feels like coming home. You start to realize just how much of your life was built around the word should. You should be more successful. You should be stronger. You should always have it all together. But now, that heavy should is being replaced by a lighter, more curious question. What do I truly want? What feels alive to me? What brings me a sense of peace? You begin to trust your own discomfort as a guide. When something feels heavy, you stop trying to force it. When a situation feels wrong, you stop trying to rationalize it away. You start listening to your intuition, that quiet, steady voice that was always there, whispering beneath all the noise. And even though other people might not understand the changes you're making, you realize you no longer need them to. You finally understood a profound truth. The approval of others can never, ever replace the peace that comes from your own self-truth. Yes, this part of the journey can feel lonely. You will outgrow people. You will outgrow old dreams. You will outgrow past versions of yourself. You'll find yourself walking away from conversations that drain your energy. You will lose all interest in proving anything to anyone. But this loneliness is not emptiness. It's purification. It's the necessary space required for your true alignment to emerge. Every ending that hurts is making room for a beginning that will heal. Think about it. You cannot carry both your mask and your freedom. One must fall for the other to rise. So, if you feel uncertain right now, if your life feels like it's falling apart, please remember this: nothing real can ever be destroyed. Only what is false can crumble, and when it does, you begin to see the world differently, not as something to conquer, but as something to connect with. You stop performing and you start living. You stop defending your every move and you start seeking to understand. You stop rushing to meet everyone's expectations and you start listening to your own soul's timing. Jung also said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That is exactly what this stage is. It's your unconscious mind becoming visible. It's the truth rising to the surface. The illusion of control is melting away, replaced by a clear-eyed awareness. This is not destruction, it is liberation disguised as loss. So let the old you crumble. Let whatever no longer resonates just drift away. You are not falling apart, you are falling open. And from this beautiful openness, your new life won't need to be forced or created. It will simply, naturally, emerge. In this sacred space between endings and new beginnings, trust the silence. Trust the uncertainty. And trust that your soul knows exactly what it's doing. Because only when the mask is gone can the real face of peace finally appear. But what happens next? After the masks have fallen and the old identities have crumbled, there comes a time when you must meet the one person you've been running from your entire life, your own shadow. At first, this encounter feels incredibly uncomfortable. You start to notice thoughts, impulses, and memories that you once buried under busyness or layers of pride. Old wounds begin to whisper. All the things you never wanted to feel: anger, jealousy, shame, grief, guilt start knocking at the door of your awareness. For years, you pushed them away. You told yourself you were past them, but they were just waiting patiently at the edges of your mind. And now, in this newfound stillness, they return. But they're not here to harm you, they're here to be healed. Carl Jung called this the meeting with the shadow. He said that the shadow holds everything we refuse to acknowledge about ourselves. But here's the thing: what we resist persists, and what we deny ends up ruling us in silence. So life, in its infinite wisdom, brings the shadow back into the light, not as a punishment, but as an invitation. You begin to see the parts of you that get easily triggered, defensive, or jealous. You notice the subtle resentments you hold, the self-sabotaging patterns that keep repeating in your relationships. You see how you shrink yourself down just to please others. There comes a moment in your life when the noise no longer comforts you. The constant hum of the world, the rush, the chatter, the endless striving, it all starts to fade into the background. You can't quite put your finger on it, but you feel a profound shift happening within. You sense it in the quiet moments, like the faint, steady pulse of dawn just beneath the horizon. This transformation doesn't begin with a storm or a dramatic event. It begins with stillness. A strange, unfamiliar peace starts to bloom inside you, mingled with a bit of confusion, as if life itself has taken a collective pause, just to breathe. You start to notice that the things you once craved, the things you chased with such intensity, no longer hold the same appeal. Ambition feels softer, less urgent. You find yourself drawn to silence, to solitude, to the simple, rhythmic sound of your own breathing. At first, this can feel incredibly unsettling. It might feel like you've lost your way, like your internal compass is spinning without direction. But what's really happening is that your old self, the one built on external expectations and societal pressures, is beginning to dissolve. The great psychoanalyst Carl Jung once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And sometimes, that pain is hidden beneath a blanket of peace. Because before every true rebirth, there must be a period of stillness, that kind of profound quiet that strips away everything false, everything that isn't truly you. The most meaningful stages of your life don't begin when you acquire more, they begin when you start letting go. They start when you no longer need the noise to feel alive, when you stop performing for an audience, When you begin to feel your own truth rather than chasing everyone else's. You've spent years, maybe even decades, running after validation, after goals, after a sense of belonging. But now, a quiet whisper from deep within says, enough. This isn't failure. This is awakening. It's the moment a seed, long buried in the dark soil, begins to dissolve its outer shell so that it can finally bloom and reach for the light. This new phase might feel empty at first, but this emptiness is sacred. It is not a void to be feared. It is the space being cleared out for the person you are becoming. You might feel a sense of detachment from people or dreams that once felt essential to your identity. Everyday conversations might start to feel shallow, and old ambitions may lose their taste. You might even wonder if you're breaking down, if something is wrong with you. But you are not breaking down, you are being prepared. You are being recalibrated. Jung called this the beginning of individuation, the slow, deliberate, and often quiet inner alignment with your true self. It is a journey that begins when you stop looking outward for meaning and start listening inward to the wisdom you've carried all along. This stillness you're experiencing isn't laziness or apathy, it's restoration. Your mind, long burdened by the relentless noise of the world, is finally learning the forgotten language of silence. As you spend more time in this quiet space, you start seeing through the illusions you once lived by, the endless striving for approval, the subtle ways you abandoned yourself just to fit in. And with every layer of falsehood that falls away, you come closer and closer to your authentic core. This quiet before the bloom is sacred ground. It's a liminal space where endings and beginnings meet, where the past and future gracefully intertwine. You are not who you were, and you are not yet who you will be. You are the beautiful, potent space in between. So, if you feel tired, if you feel detached, or if you feel a strange sense of calm you can't explain, trust it. Do not rush to fill the silence with distractions. Let it breathe you. Let it hold you. Life is not punishing you, it is pruning you. It is carefully removing the noise, the clutter, and the unnecessary weight you've been carrying so that your true essence can flourish. In this soft, gentle emptiness, you are being rebuilt not as the person the world expects you to be, but as the person you truly are. So take a deep breath. Let it settle into every part of your being. You are safe in this in-between. You are protected in this sacred pause. Because this stillness is not the end of your story. It is the quiet, powerful interlude before your next chapter begins. And when the new dawn finally comes, and you will understand, with perfect clarity, why everything had to go quiet first. You are not lost, you are simply, and beautifully, becoming. Have you ever felt like you're waking up from a long dream? That feeling when the stillness finally comes, and then the unraveling begins. It doesn't announce itself with a dramatic entrance. It arrives quietly, like tiny cracks forming in the mask you've worn for years. You start to notice it in the small things, the way old conversations suddenly feel meaningless, the way you hesitate before agreeing to something that once felt completely natural. You look at your reflection, and it feels unfamiliar, not because you've changed on the outside, but because something deep within your eyes has finally awakened. This is the stage where the false layers start to crumble. The roles you played so well, the high achiever, the people pleaser, the strong one, the quiet one, they start slipping away. It's not that you're actively rejecting them. It's that they just don't fit anymore. For so long, you built your life on survival. You learned to adapt, to be what others needed you to be, to mirror their expectations, all just to belong. And for a while, it worked. But the soul can only pretend for so long. The great psychologist Carl Jung called these roles the persona, the mask we all wear to face the world. He said the persona protects us, but if we cling to it too tightly, it becomes a prison. And then, one day, that prison starts to crack. The laughter feels forced, the achievements feel hollow. The relationships you built on pretending begin to fall apart, and it hurts. It hurts deeply. Because as those old identities crumble, you lose parts of yourself you thought were real. You start to question everything. Who am I without this version of me? Who am I without the approval I used to chase? Who am I without the people who only knew the mask? But listen closely, this destruction is sacred. The collapse you fear is the very same energy that clears the way for your truth to emerge. It's completely normal to feel lost. It's okay to grieve the person you used to be, to miss the certainty and comfort of your old patterns. But deep down, you know this is necessary, because pretending is so much heavier than being honest. And you are finally tired of carrying that weight. When the mask falls, you meet yourself for the first time raw, unsure, and beautifully human. You see your fears without filters, your wounds without makeup, your dreams stripped of all performance. It's terrifying at first, I know, but slowly, something soft appears from beneath the rubble. It's a quiet self that doesn't need to impress anyone, doesn't need to explain itself, and doesn't need to be understood by everyone. This is authenticity, and it feels like coming home. You start to realize how much of your life was built around the word should. You should be successful. You should be strong. You should always have it all together. But now, that should is being replaced by a much more powerful question. What do I truly want? What makes me feel alive? What brings me peace? You begin to trust your discomfort as a guide. When something feels heavy, you stop forcing it. When a situation feels wrong, you stop trying to rationalize it away. You start listening to your intuition, that quiet voice that never shouted, but has always been whispering beneath the noise of the world. And even though others might not understand the changes you're making, you no longer need them to. You have finally realized that the approval of others can never, ever replace the peace of living in your own truth. Yes, this part of the journey can be lonely. You will outgrow people, dreams, and even old versions of yourself. You will find yourself walking away from conversations that drain your energy. You will lose all interest in proving anything to anyone. But this loneliness is not emptiness, it's purification. It's the sacred space required for true alignment to find you. Every ending that hurts is simply making room for a beginning that will heal you. You cannot carry both your mask and your freedom. One must fall for the other to rise. So, if you feel uncertain right now, if it feels like your life is falling apart, please remember this: nothing real can ever be destroyed. Only what is false can crumble, and when it does, you begin to see the world differently, not as something to conquer, but as something to connect with. You stop performing and you start living. You stop defending and you start understanding. You stop rushing to meet expectations and you start listening to your soul's perfect timing. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That is exactly what this stage is: your unconscious becoming visible, the truth rising to the surface, the illusion of control melting away into a profound awareness. This is not destruction, it is liberation disguised as loss. So let the old you crumble. Let whatever no longer resonates with your spirit just drift away. You are not falling apart, you are falling open. And from this beautiful openness, your new life won't need to be forced or created. It will simply emerge, naturally and gracefully. In this space between your endings and your new beginnings, trust the silence. Trust the uncertainty. And most of all, trust that your soul knows exactly what it's doing. Because only when the mask is truly gone can the real face of peace finally appear. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me today. If this resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content on this journey of self-discovery. Have you ever noticed the paradox of solitude? The more comfortable you become in your own aloneness, the more authentic and deep your connections with others become. It's because solitude is a powerful teacher. It teaches you what presence truly means. It helps you to listen deeply, to see others not just for the roles they play in your life, but as complete souls on their own journey. When you master this, you stop chasing company out of a fear of being alone. Instead, you start choosing it carefully, mindfully, Like a poet chooses the perfect words for a poem, your energy softens, your gaze deepens. You find yourself walking through life a little slower, not because you're tired, but out of a newfound reverence for each moment. The fear of being alone melts away because you discover a profound truth. You are never truly alone. There is a vast, loving awareness inside you, a constant presence that is always watching, always guiding, always at peace. This is what ancient mystics meant when they spoke of finding God within. It's what Carl Jung described as meeting the self. So, if solitude is calling to you, don't hesitate. Answer that call. Give yourself permission to step back from the world, to turn off the noise for a little while, and just listen, because in that quiet space, the next version of you is already forming slowly, tenderly, and beautifully, like a new dawn preparing to rise. This isn't about withdrawing from life, it's about remembering who you are. It's a homecoming, a return to yourself, after you've spent time in that silence. After the storms of emotion have passed, something remarkable begins to rise within you: clarity. It doesn't arrive like a sudden lightning strike. No, it's much softer than that. It's like the gentle light filtering through a half-open curtain, slowly spreading across the room of your awareness. You start to see your life in a completely new way. It's no longer just a series of mistakes or triumphs, but a beautifully woven story, a map of everything that has shaped you into the person you are today. The confusion that once felt so heavy begins to lift. You start to understand why certain things had to happen, why certain people had to leave your life, and why some seasons felt almost unbearable. From this still, quiet place, you can see what you couldn't before. Every ending was a redirection to a new path. Every heartbreak was a clearing of space for something better. Every loss was a profound lesson in what it means to love. Clarity doesn't mean you have all the answers. In fact, it means you've made peace with not needing all the answers. It's a quiet, inner knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. You begin to trust yourself again, your intuition, your instincts, your own unique rhythm. The voice that once whispered timidly inside you now speaks with a calm, unwavering certainty. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes," and this is the awakening. It is that pivotal moment when you stop searching outside yourself for direction and begin to feel the compass within. You start to feel guided, not just by logic, but by a sense of alignment. You notice how your body reacts to things, the way it tightens when something isn't right for you, and the way it softens and relaxes when you are living in your truth. You begin to trust these signals, moving through life not from a place of fear, but from a place of resonance. This inner clarity is gentle. It doesn't rush you or shout at you. It simply reveals moment by moment, step by step, what feels authentic, what feels forced, and what truly makes you feel alive. And slowly, your decisions begin to change. You start saying no without feeling guilty. You start saying yes without hesitation. You stop chasing things that don't call to your soul. You stop feeling the need to explain yourself to people who are never going to understand you anyway. You begin to feel light. Not because life has suddenly become easy, but because you've finally stopped carrying burdens that were never yours to carry in the first place. Clarity has a strange, simplifying power. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself, to compete, or to compare your journey to anyone else's. You start to see the quiet, understated beauty of your own unique path. You begin to realize that peace isn't found in achieving perfection, it's found in living in alignment with your true self. You might look around and notice that the world hasn't changed much, but you have. The noise that once overwhelmed you now passes through you like wind through trees. You're no longer constantly reacting to everything around you, you're observing. You're not drowning in the chaos, you're floating above it. This is the very essence of consciousness. You are no longer trapped in the story, you are the one watching it unfold. You are the witness, awake, aware, and finally at peace. And from this newfound clarity, your life begins to reassemble itself, naturally and effortlessly. People who no longer resonate with your energy will gently drift away. New souls will enter your life kind, genuine, and aligned with who you are now. You'll find yourself drawn to simplicity, to nature, to truth. Even your ambitions will shift. You'll no longer chase success for external validation. Instead, you'll create for the pure joy of expression, for love, for connection. And perhaps the most beautiful part of it all is that you stop needing to control everything. Because clarity teaches you the art of surrender. It shows you that forcing things is how we lose our flow. You begin to trust life again, not as an enemy you have to fight, but as a living conversation. You give, and life gives back. You release, and life replaces. You rest, and life renews you. This clarity also brings a deep sense of compassion. You start to see others with softer eyes. You understand that everyone is walking their own unseen path. Some are lost, some are learning, and some are just beginning to awaken, just like you. And instead of judgment, you feel a deep tenderness. You realize that none of us truly knows what we're doing. We are all just trying to remember who we are. In that realization, you can finally relax. You no longer feel the need to rush towards some imagined future. You begin to enjoy the small, sacred moments of the now: a warm cup of tea in the morning, a walk in the sun, a breath that feels full and effortless. This is what peace feels like. It isn't grand or dramatic. It's simple, quiet, and unshakable clarity in the end of the journey. It's the moment you realize the journey was never meant to be perfect, only true. So, when life slows down and the fog finally begins to lift, trust what you see, trust what you feel. Trust that gentle, knowing voice inside you that says, you are exactly where you're meant to be. Clarity is the soul's sunrise, the light that comes after long nights of confusion. After the noise fades and clarity arrives, something gentle yet powerful begins to stir within you. It's a quiet feeling, a sense that perhaps you weren't meant to just survive this life, but to create something meaningful through it. This isn't the restless ambition you once chased. It's something deeper, born from your own truth. One morning, you wake up and notice it, a subtle spark returning to your heart. The same fire you thought had gone out was never truly extinguished. It was simply waiting for the world to quiet down so it could finally speak again. This is the rebirth of your purpose. But it's not the old kind of purpose, defined by a career, status, or the approval of others. This is your soul's purpose, the kind that grows quietly inside you when you start living in alignment with who you truly are. The psychologist Carl Jung famously said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are," and now, you're beginning to understand what that really means. For years, you tried to shape yourself to fit the world's expectations. You wore masks, played roles, and chased dreams that didn't truly belong to you. But that version of purpose was borrowed. It belonged to the noise. Now, in this new stage of your awakening, purpose no longer feels like something you have to chase. It feels like something you uncover, something that's been waiting just beneath the surface all along. You start to sense that everything you went through, the heartbreaks, the confusion, the solitude, wasn't random. It was refinement. Each moment was preparing you, shaping you, and clearing space for what was always meant to come through you. Purpose doesn't scream at you, it whispers. It speaks through the things you love, the moments that move you, and the activities that bring you a sense of peace. You start to notice the small things that light you up from the inside, the activities that make time disappear. You realize that purpose isn't always some grand, public spectacle. It might live quietly in your kindness, your art, your care for others, or simply in your ability to heal through your presence. You understand that purpose isn't found in doing more, but in doing what feels deeply and undeniably right. There's a purity to it, a sense of alignment, like your soul is finally taking a deep, long exhale. This new purpose doesn't drain you, it energizes you. It flows through you, not from pressure, but from a place of deep peace. The question is no longer, what should I do with my life? But rather, What do I feel called to give? And sometimes, the call is small: to write a story, to teach a skill, to nurture a garden, to build something with your hands, or just to bring a little more light wherever you go. But what truly matters is that it's real. Purpose born from ego fades quickly, but purpose born from truth can last a lifetime. As you begin to live from this quiet authenticity, you'll notice that life starts to respond differently. Doors open with less resistance. Opportunities appear without you having to struggle for them. Synchronicities seem to guide your steps, as if the universe recognizes that you are finally walking your true path. Jung spoke of the self, the central point of wholeness within us. He believed that, when you align with it, life begins to move with you, not against you. And that's exactly what this feels like: not a constant struggle, but a gentle flow. You begin to realize that purpose is not a destination you arrive at, it's a state of being. It's about living each day with presence, with love, and with awareness. Even the smallest act, when done with sincerity and peace, becomes sacred. You could be making tea, writing a single sentence, listening to a friend, or simply breathing, and in that moment, you are fulfilling your purpose, because it isn't about what you do, but about how you do it. When your actions rise from truth, they carry light into the world. This rebirth of purpose also brings with it a newfound courage. You no longer fear starting over. You no longer cling to plans that don't feel right. You understand that life is fluid, and your calling will evolve as you do. You become less attached to outcomes and more devoted to sincerity. You stop asking, "Will this succeed?" and you start asking, "Does this feel true?" And in that simple shift, you are reborn. The universe doesn't need you to be perfect, it only needs you to be real. When you live from that place of truth, your very existence becomes a form of light. So, if you feel like you've lost your direction, don't worry. You're not lost, you're just being redirected. Your soul is recalibrating, aligning your path with your deepest essence. Listen closely, follow what feels alive. Follow what feels honest. That is your compass now, because purpose was never about changing the world. It's about becoming so authentically yourself that your very being changes the space around you. And when that happens, you'll understand something beautiful. You are never without purpose. You are simply remembering it. This is the rebirth, the quiet return of the fire within. And this time, it burns clean. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content like this. Take care.